Hello everyone, it's your girl Tinuade of Style by He. You're welcome to another beautiful tutorial. It's actually a long awaited one. Due to some reasons I couldn't put up the tutorial on time, but thank God here we are, and this is what I have here. Yes, so if you haven't watched the drafting part of this tutorial, please kindly do so now. These are the fabrics I'll be making use of. I actually wanted one to be for front, then the other one to be for the back side, but I later changed my mind. Just follow through the tutorial, you will understand it. So I've gone ahead to put my fabric on fold. Yes, so I'll be placing my pattern paper on it, already drafted the pattern on it, so that we can pin it down and cut out. And remember, we'll be cutting the back part first. Yes, based on the pattern we drafted. So like I said earlier, if you haven't watched the drafting part of this tutorial, you really need to do that, please. I haven't pinned the pattern to the fabric. This is what I have. You can see the way it's laying perfectly well. And another thing that is worthy of note is that I folded my fabric across the width of the fabric so that it will be enough for my desired length. Yes, I didn't fold it lengthwise. You can see where the printed edge of the fabric is facing now, so I folded across the width of the fabric. Another thing is that I altered this pattern. Remember, in our drafting section I used 2 inches for my bust dart, but now I've reduced the bust dart to 1 inch. This is because I don't want to join to the wideness of what I folded there. So in order for me to reduce the fullness, I had to reduce the bust dart to 1 inch. Yes, so if you have enough fabric, you can do as much as you want. What I mean is that you can use that 2 inches. In fact, you can even use 2.5. So invariably, the more your bust dart, the more the fullness of the leg. Remember, we are not adding much sewing allowance to this pattern again because we've already added the necessary allowances. But to that my armhole part, I added 1/4 inch. To the small shoulder remaining there, I added 1/4. That will help me in joining the front and back together. So that part is our zipper allowance. I'm not adding anything again. Remember, we've already added it. So I'll go ahead and cut exactly at that part, and at that side I'll cut exactly what I have on my pattern. So to that crotch part, I'll go ahead and add 1/2 inch. So that will be all. I'll just go ahead and open that part out. Yes, so this is what I have. Our back is as good as ready. So I added 1/2 inch there and 1/4 inch at the armhole part. So to that my hem, I'll just go ahead and add 1/2 inch. Yes, for my hemming allowance. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to measure 2 inches from my waistline, just as you see me do, and give it a notch. So that's where my pockets is going to be sitting. Yes, so it's going to be sitting on the 2-inch notch that I made downwards. Now that the back part is ready, I will set it aside, then take my pattern paper, alter it so as to use it to cut the front. So the first thing I'm going to be doing now is to alter the neck. Yes, so I'll go ahead and cut out the front neck. Remember, the first one we cut is for the back, so that is my front neck, and I'll go ahead and remove the zipper allowance that I added because we don't need zipper allowance for fronts. Yes, so I'll go ahead and cut out my crouch extension for the fronts. I'll remove the back from it so that I can have my front crouch extension. I'll also go ahead and remove the 2 inches that I added at that part. So I haven't done all that. I have my front pattern. So I've gone ahead to pin the pattern paper to the fabric, and the fabric is also folded into 2 across the width of the fabric, so as to get my desired length. So you can see the way it is looking. So what I'm going to do now is to add half an inch at that front part, at the center front. Yes, I'll go ahead and add half an inch there from the neck part to the crouch part. Another one we are going to be adding will be at the shoulder, will be 1/4 of an inch. Remember, we added 1/4 to the back when we were cutting it, so we're going to add 1/4 of an inch to the shoulder part too, so as to use them to join each other. At the armhole part, I'll be adding half an inch, and at the hem I will add half an inch. So I'll go ahead now and cut out. Now that we have our front and back pieces, I'll go ahead and remove the pattern papers from the fabrics so that we can see what we have, and I will show us what needs to do. So I also repeated my notch that I made on the back part. I repeated it for the front, that is 2 inches from my waistline. That's where the pocket is going to sit. So the next thing I'm going to cut now is our pockets. Yes, so what I usually do is to fold my fabric into 4. I'll go ahead and mark my pocket opening. I usually do 8 inches. Yes, I'll mark 8 inches at that part, and then I'll go ahead and put my palm on it and trace it out. Yes, just as you see me do. And I'll make sure that the length of my pocket is between 7.5 to 8.5. Yes, the pocket opening is 8 inches. The pocket depth is between 7.5 to 8.5. I'll place my palm on it and I will draw out like an N shape. Hope you understand. So I'll go ahead and open out that part. Yes, that's our pocket opening, and I'll set it aside. I was about to start joining when I realized that it would have been better, or it will come out finer, if I made the two fabrics to be beside each other, both in front and at the back, just as you see in the video earlier. So I had to make some adjustment to what I had already cut. Yes, so in case you want your own, you are using two fabrics just like I did, what you are going to do is to place the pattern on one of the fabric, and don't put it on fold, please. Yes, don't put it on fold. Let's say you are cutting front, you place your pattern on one of the fabric without folding it, cut it out, then place it on the second fabric, you will cut it out. That means you've achieved your front. That's if you are cutting for front. Then for the pattern for the back, place it on one of the fabric, cut it out, then you use that one, you replicate it on the other fabric. And at the same time, you can use this method by placing the fabrics on each other without folding it. Yes, then you place your front pattern paper and cut out. When you are done, you place your second or your back pattern paper and cut out. In that case, you have two different patterns in front and two different patterns at the back. I hope you understand. So in my own case, I had to do some adjustments in order to achieve two different patterns in front and at the back, because I just thought it would come out so nice, and I just fell in love with it immediately. So after adjustment, this is what I have. Nothing actually changed, just follow the same procedure. Nothing has actually changed. It's just that I want two different patterns in front and at the back. I hope you understand. So now that I have two different contrasting patterns for front, we'll go ahead and start joining. So I will start off with my front. Yes, you can see I have two different patterns at the front. Yes, so what I'm going to do is to go ahead and join that our center front with half an inch. Remember, we left half an inch, so I'll go ahead and join that part with half an inch. As for the back piece, I'll go ahead and sew the crotch part with half an inch. Remember, we left half an inch there as our sewing allowance. Yes, that part that I'm marking, I'll go ahead and sew it with half an inch, and I will extend it into my zipper allowance with half. Yes, I will sew my crotch part with half an inch, and I will go into my zipper allowance. Yes, just as you see me do, I'll go into it there with half an inch. So this is what I mean. I'll sew my crotch with half an inch, and instead of me to stop where my zipper allowance starts from, I will sew into the zipper allowance with half an inch. So I'll go ahead now and stitch both the front and the back just the way I mark it out for us to see, and bring it back to show us what needs to do. So after joining, this is what I have. I've also gone ahead to open press my seam. Yes, that's the back. You can see the zipper allowance and the crouch part. Have gone ahead to open press the allowance. See, so after pressing, this is what I have. And as for the front, you can see it's the half an inch joining allowance. I've gone ahead to open press it, and that's the front parts. So the next thing we are going to be doing now is to attach our pockets. Remember, we cut out 4 pocket pieces because we folded the fabric that we used to cut the pockets into 4. So I have 4 pocket pieces, and I'm going to be placing that pocket piece, each one on the 2 inches from the waistline that notch that I made earlier. So I placed the front part of the pockets facing the front part of the fabric, that is the right side of the pocket facing the right side of the fabric, and I will go ahead and join with half an inch just as you see me mark on the fabric. So this is for the front piece. I'll go ahead and repeat the same process for the back. I'll attach the remaining 2 pocket pieces to the back sides. So I've gone ahead to stitch the pocket pieces to the main fabric, and this is what I have for both front and back. So the next thing we are going to be doing now is to install our zipper, and I've decided to go for this tiny invisible zipper. Yes, so this is how I'm going to place my zipper. I'll go ahead and pin it first before taking to my sewing machine to stitch down. After installing my zipper, this is what I have. You can see that the zipper was neatly installed and is looking so beautiful already. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to add little darts to my front armhole. Yes, on the 2 sides I'm going to add little darts. This is to create a bit of fullness around the bust part, and also to control gaping at the armhole part. So how do I get this dart? It is simply by getting the midpoint of my armhole, then I'll go down from the midpoint by 1 inch, then I'll hold an half inch down, that of length 3 inches. Please don't take more than 3 inches. So this is me trying to make sure that my midpoints are the same at both sides of the armhole, and my darts are well aligned. Please take note that this dart is only going to be at the front armhole. So having marked my darts on both sides of the armhole, I'll take to my sewing machine and stitch on my mark. So I've held my darts, and this is what we have. Like I said earlier, the dart is just to control gripping around the armhole parts and to create a bit of fullness around the bust, so that our bust won't be flattened when we wear these jumpsuits. You can see the way the dart is very short and nice. So this is the front part, and you can see there is a bit of fullness around the bust part, and that's one of the essences of the bust that we had that the armhole part. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to place the back part on the front with right side facing each other so that we can start stitching them together. So I've gone ahead to secure the front and the back together with pins, and I also made sure that the front and the back at the crotch part there, yes, that they are well aligned. I made sure that the seam of the back and the front are at the crotch parts are aligning well. I even secured it with pins. Yes, so the first stitch I'm going to be running will be at that part. Yes, I'm going to start from the crouch part there at the middle. I'll run it to one side, then I'll go through the other side, then I'll again come to this side. Following the direction of my finger, I will stitch that part that way this side, then I'll repeat the same process to the other side. For the shaping allowance at the side, I added 1 inch during drafting, and that's exactly what I'm going to sew with. So I'm going to start off the shaping by sewing 1 inch, then when I get to the pocket side, I'll reduce my hand to half an inch, then I'll take 1 inch down, just as you see me do there. So after stitching, this is what we have. You can see the way our palazzo jumpsuit is gradually forming. Yes, you can see how beautiful it's looking already. So this is what we have, and I've also gone ahead to join the shoulder. Yes, there's a tiny allowance remaining for shoulder, and I left 1/4 inch when we were cutting, so I used that 1/4 inch to join the front and the back shoulder together. So you can see what we have here. Yes, so I've also gone ahead to cut this straight piece of fabric to turn the armhole part. I didn't want to use a bias because I wanted everything to just blend well, so I decided to cut out this tiny piece to turn on the armhole. So I'll do it and show us what we have. Welcome back. You can see I've gone ahead to turn the armhole with this strip of fabric, and this is what we have. You can hardly notice that the armhole part is turned. Yes, that's because I use the same fabric and I like the outcome of that. So the next thing to do now is to work on the neckline. Yes, and it's going to have turtleneck. So I've gone ahead to bring down the front neck again. Yes, I used 2.75 during drafting, but I just realized that it might be shocking, so I decided to bring it down by half an inch. So please take note of that. So I'll go ahead now and measure the neck circumference so that I will know what to use to cut the collar. So this is how I'm going to measure the neck circumference. I'll start from one side of the zipper at the back, take it through the front, then to the other side of the zipper at the back. Okay, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly do so now so that you'll be part of the family. And if you found this tutorial helpful, kindly give me a thumbs up. Also turn on your notification bell so that you'll be notified when I upload new tutorials. Thank you. Another way you can take your neck circumference is by folding the neck into two. Yes, just as you see me do. Then you place your tape on it and take your measurements. But in this case, your answer will be multiplied by 2. I hope you understand. So whichever method you choose to use, your answer must still be the same at the end of the day. So now that I got my neck circumference, we'll proceed to the drafting table to draft our collar. I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 2. I also drew out my starting line, and on that line I'll be imputing my neck circumference divided by 2. Yes, so in my own case I got 15 divided by 2 gave me 7.5. So I'll go ahead and impute 7.5 there, and I will also add half an inch to my measurements, making 8 inches. I also went ahead to divide the 7.5 into 2. I gave it a mark. So under my 8 inches mark, I went up by 1 inch, just as you see me do. So I went ahead to make a connection from that my 1 inch mark to the point that I marked there. Be sure to make the connection with a slight curve, just as you see me do there. So after connection, it should look like this. So I'll then go ahead to take my collar height. I always like my collar height to be 1/4 after sewing, so I'll add half an inch as sewing allowance, so that gives me 1/3. So I'll go ahead and mark 1/3 following the line that I have there. I'll just follow the shape of the line to mark the collar height. So I'll go ahead and use my curved ruler to connect the dots together. So after connection, this is what I have. So I'll go ahead and extend that other line up to touch the line that I just drew, just as you see me do. Then voila, our collar is ready. You can go ahead to give it a small curve at that edge, yes, at that edge, or you can as well leave it like that. So that totally depends on you. So I'll go ahead now and cut out. Then I'll also replicate the collar, because one will be serving as the lining while the other one will serve as the main collar piece. Then I'll also go ahead and add my light interfacing. So I had to give that part a notch so that we'll know that that's the part that will be attaching to the neck. So this down part is the part that I gave a notch. Yes, that's our notch there. So that's to indicate that that's the part that will be attaching to the main dress. So while the other parts will be turned, so I'll take it to my sewing machine and stitch down with 1/4 inch. Remember, we left half an inch, so I'll be using quarter to turn that part, then use the remaining quarter to attach the collar to the main dress. So after turning, this is what we have. You can see the way the collar is looking. So one part is open, and that is the part that I'll fix to my neckline. Remember, our jumpsuit has a joining in front, and that joining also serves as the center front. So I will place the collar, the notching of the collar, on the center front, because that notch serves as the midpoint of the collar. So I'll make sure that the midpoint of the collar is aligning with the midpoint of the jumpsuit. So that's where I'm going to start pinning from, and I'm going to place the collar from inside out. Yes, it will go in. Then after sewing that part, I'll then flip it to the front to stitch it down for the last time. Just follow carefully, you'll get it. So I'm done pinning half of the collar. Yes, I'm done pinning half of the collar to the main outfit, because I started from the center. So I'll go ahead and pin the other half. So I'm done pinning, and you can see the way it's looking. So this is what I mean that I'll flip to the front. Yes, so I'll first of all take to my sewing machine to stitch that part, then I'll flip it to the front, yes, to the right side of the fabric of the main outfit, so that I can fold with the remaining quarter and stitch down. So I'll go ahead, take to my sewing machine, I'll fix the collar, then I'll bring it back to show us how it looks. So I've gone ahead to fix our collar, and this is what we have. You can see it's sitting pretty. Even before ironing, just take a look at it. See the way it's looking so nice. So I'll go ahead and fix bra hook at that part. Yes, at that part I can fix bra hook at that part. Then you can decide to leave it. It's totally your choice, but I'll be using bra hook on mine. Then you can see the armhole, and I've also gone ahead to hem the lower part of the jumpsuit. So this is what we have. It's sitting pretty, so I'm going to give it a good press, then show us how it looks. So thank you for sticking by. Thank you for tuning into this channel. It's good having you here. Please kindly like, share and comment on this video. So thank you once again, and see you in my next video. Bye.